This is Matt with 2 Feet Outdoors YouTube channel. Today we are backpacking to the Fire Island Wilderness, and we're going to find a spot on the beach to camp overnight. But today the wind is so intense that I don't know if that's going to happen. The waves are crashing on the beach. We're going to have to see what it looks like when we get down there. I'm looking at the weather right now, and it's showing the wind 15 to 25 miles per hour with winds that could occasionally gust at over 40 miles an hour. And it's going to be the same for overnight. Backpacking about 5 miles down the beach. My permit with the Fire Island National Seashore is for camping on the beach. But if it turns out that it's too windy, we'll move into the backcountry area where it's more protected. This area here is called Hoam Beach. So yeah, like I said, this is Hoam Beach, and this side is actually Bellport Bay, and this is the ferry landing. And right now it's the off season, so the ferry's not running to this location, and basically nobody's around for miles and miles and miles. And the only way to get here now is by foot. And I hiked about 5 miles to get to this spot. So I just wanted to make a pit stop here at Hoam Beach. Just walk through. We're gonna get back out to the beach, and we're gonna find our spot where we're gonna camp for the night. Such a cool little gazebo here. This is really, really cool. We have a seal hauling out on the beach directly in front of us. I'm gonna try to keep my distance, get my other camera out, and zoom in so we can get some good footage. All right, I think this is where we're gonna set up camp. Right here on the beach. We're just gonna get closer up before the dune. Such a pretty spot right here. I think we'll tuck the tent right around here amongst these trees. It's still pretty windy, but I think we're gonna set up camp right here, right on the beach. As long as it doesn't blow my tent away. All right, tent is mostly set up. Gonna grab all the rest of my gear, toss it in the tent, and we're gonna start getting everything else set up inside the tent. Wind seems to have settled down a little bit since we hiked in, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right now, I think we're fine. All right, got my sleeping pad, sleeping bag, and pillow all set up. And I'm thirsty from hiking in. I'm also hungry, and I think it's going to be time to make some food. Probably wondering what I'm doing, but I'm just digging a hole and made a makeshift table out of wood that I found on the beach. And this way I can just sit and comfortably have my legs down in the hole and use the wood as my little countertop. A lot of times I cook and do stuff right on the sand, and I end up getting sand. In my food. This is just my little countertop, or yeah, workspace, and I'm just making a deep hole for my legs to go down in so I can sit upright and work on my little counter space. And it's right on the edge of my tent, blocking some of the wind. Yeah, I think that's going to work out really nice. Man, what a beautiful afternoon. Right here on the beach. Waves crashing. Nobody else around. I'm still probably going to have sand in my grilled cheese, because the wind is still blowing some sand around. But this is a little bit better with my makeshift table here, rather than working directly on the sand. Oh yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna have to watch this tide. I'm plenty far enough back from the ocean, but if for some reason we have some extreme high tide, I might need to shift the tent back further, but I think I'm gonna be fine. I like this little makeshift countertop and seating area in front of my tent. Worked out pretty good. Well, I think that hit the spot for now. It's starting to cool off a little bit. Definitely think I'm gonna put my jacket on. All right, so you can see where my tent is right now. And if I just walk this way, you can see how close we are to the ocean. So we'll turn back around, and yeah, you can see my footsteps, and tent's just like right over there. So yeah, I am a little bit concerned about the high tide, but we might need to move it back a little bit, because right over here, you can see the difference in the sand right here. So that's where the previous high tide was. And then you have my tent. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. That tree is really cool. Just look at the shape of it. We're just gonna take a walk in the backcountry here. Check things out a bit. See what we can find. See, this is pretty interesting. There's a concrete foundation I wonder what was here at some point. And this is probably just an open camping spot. So quiet and so peaceful back here. Looks like we have some footprints. So this area that we're in is the Fire Island National Seashore. It's a 30-mile barrier island off of Long Island. So we just walked through and we walked back to the beach. And we're back to the tent. I saw this earlier and tried to pull it out. It's just a whole bunch of metal. There's no barbs on it. It's not barbed wire, but it's just like metal wire. I wasn't able to pull it out. But yeah, it's just bound up and it's goes underneath the sand, so not much I can do with it. All right, you can see where my tent was, and I decided to move it up here a little bit. But I was checking, and high tide isn't until after midnight tonight. And look at this, you can actually see. Yeah, that was a good idea. Look at that. Just in time. That water just came up. Again, that's where my tent is, or was, and that water just came up here. So I'm really glad I decided to move that tent. I just dragged the whole tent right up the little hill here with all my gear in it. Yeah, so my understanding is that there's some special full moon that occurred last night or tonight that's gonna occur tonight, and it's apparently causing the tide to come up an additional foot. So I don't know what that necessarily equates to on the beach, but yeah, I'm glad I got everything moved. And you can see my tent right there behind me. So yeah, I don't want to be sleeping tonight and all of a sudden have the ocean crashing on me. So I'm way up high now, far enough that definitely won't be a problem. Cheers. I'm gonna drink this hot chocolate, then I'm gonna get nice and toasty in my tent. All right, well, I'm back in my tent. Just saw an amazing sunset. I put a whole bunch of layers on to get me through the night. And I'm looking at the hourly forecast, and it's looking like the temperature through the night is going to get down to the mid-30s. So yeah, right now it's in the low 40s. So the temperature is going to come down a little bit. And yeah, I'm just going to wrap things up, and I think it's time for bed. So we'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, guys. It's just about 7 a.m. and I have to show you what I just woke up to. Pretty incredible. What an amazing sunrise. I honestly thought we were going to be completely covered in clouds this morning, and this is what I'm waking up to. I can't believe it. We'll just take a walk out here to the beach. Listen to the ocean waves this morning. Wow. Really lucked out this morning, because that sun, as it comes up, it is going to go behind those clouds. As a matter of fact, this is where I had my tent originally, and the water, the high tide, came up right to where my tent was. Oh, and you remember that big ball of wire? It got dislodged in the tide. And here it is. I have to say, that was definitely an incredible gift to wake up to such a beautiful sunrise. I had a little bit of trouble sleeping last night. When I actually did finally fall asleep for a few hours, when I opened up my eyes, I saw how bright it was and figured I'd jump out of the tent and check it out. Right here is one of the main reasons I love coming to Fire Island. Still extremely windy, and it is chilly this morning. I'd have to say the temperature's in the mid to high 30s. Trying to get organized here this morning. I have beach sand everywhere. Just coming in and out of the tent, just tracks it right in. It blows in. It literally comes from everywhere. So I'm trying to get a little organized here. because I got stuff everywhere. That's the issue with camping on the beach. There's no way to avoid lots of sand in the tent, on my gear, in my clothes. It gets everywhere. But it's still amazing. So I'm trying to get a little organized and partially packed up, and then I'm gonna have some hot chocolate and possibly some breakfast. I'm just huddled inside the tent, just boiling this water. Everything's blowing around. Cheers. I tell you, it's been an amazing trip so far. Saw a seal backpacking on the way in. Had an amazing sunset last night. An incredible sunrise this morning. That was really a surprise because when I checked the weather, it showed that today was going to be completely cloud covered, and it must have blown over because it's full sun right now. Still windy like yesterday, but still a beautiful day. On the way out, when I get back to my truck, I'm gonna stop at the Fire Island Visitor Center, and I have a whale bone, a whale vertebra in my truck that I'm gonna donate. Wow, that wind is really blowing. But yeah, they kind of have a makeshift museum at the visitor center, and I'm going to donate that whale bone, that whale vertebra, so they can just have it on display there. I don't have any need for it at home, so yeah, I'm just going to donate it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. All right, so this morning I planned to make some eggs and bacon, like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. But with this wind blowing the way that it's been blowing, sand is literally flying everywhere. And I know if I attempt to cook eggs in a frying pan that I'm just gonna have sand all in my eggs. Just to keep it simple, I decided to make a cheese sandwich. You can see the water line here is basically coming right up to the dunes. If a good wave comes in, all of a sudden the water is up to this level here. That's not where we want it to be. I didn't check the tide times, so I don't know if there's we had a high tide last night after midnight, and looks like that tide's definitely coming in again. Look at that, you can see it way up in front of me. Right up to the dune. Yeah, right here is where that wave just came up to. And you can see right here, we have a sign that says keep off the dunes. So it's closing in on us. That water's continuing to come up higher and higher. We still have plenty of space. Different parts of the beach can be more narrow or a little bit wider, so it just depends. But right now we got plenty of space to hike. But I'm telling you, we are hiking into a headwind. Look at this flow of water going back. Pretty cool. But we need to get out of the way because it's coming. Whoa! Whoa! We made it. Earlier when I was watching the sunrise, I got caught by a wave. So I'm currently hiking in wet shoes. I did have a second pair of socks, but I put dry socks into wet shoes. So now I have a second pair of wet socks. That moon last night, I got up in the middle of the night and opened the tent. Whoa, coming at me again. Opened up the tent and the full moon was just glistening on the ocean. It was incredible. The wind chill today is like a little bit of the bigger issue because it's not that cold. I think it's in the high 30s. So that's not really that bad. It's just the headwind and the wind chill, and my eyes like to tear in the wind. Check out this dead horseshoe crab. You can see its legs. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Big piece of driftwood. Let's see, you think I can make it? Not bad. We may, or I should say we are running into a little snafu here. Right now, the high tide from the Atlantic Ocean, which is where I'm facing the camera now, the water is running over into the Great South Bay where I'm facing the camera now. So right now I'm walking through water. Just a little bit, nothing major. But in one of my previous backcountry camping videos, I showed this area and I showed how it was a complete, like almost like a desert, which it typically is when there hasn't been any extreme high tides in a while. Yeah, anytime there's a big swell from the ocean, it comes over. Okay, well, we just got hit by a wave. So you can really see that water is running straight to the Great South Bay. So now I'm really wet, up to the knees. That almost caught me by surprise. We're gonna try to go inland, but I gotta cross this water first. We're gonna go into the backcountry area, the wilderness area, see if we can get out of some of this wind and some of this water, because that tide is coming way up. All right, so we're gonna work our way through this area. Into what's called the Burma Road Trail. I always called it a deer trail, but I guess the name is Burma Road Trail. So we're gonna walk through this tall seagrass. Not much of a trail, but there's a little bit. And as we get through this grass, it'll open up. So I checked the tide times, and as we were backpacking on the beach this morning, it was right at high tide. So that's why we were running into the little issue that we were running into there. Well, it looks like we ran into some water on this trail. No way to really avoid it now. It's just thick brush on the sides. And my feet are already wet, so it doesn't matter. A couple things I wanted to mention about my seal spotting yesterday is that, number one, you're supposed to keep distance from the seals. And it goes without saying, never harass the seals. But, and most of the shots that I took yesterday, I was zooming in pretty considerably with my phone or my camera. But I hike these beaches a lot. I also drive on a few beaches. And I was just looking at an animal to try to see what it was. I've run across deceased seals, unfortunately, on several occasions. During those occasions, I've called the SEAL Stranding Hotline, and they like to send out marine conservation folks, and they take the seals to determine the cause of the death. So if you ever come across a seal, call the SEAL Stranding Hotline. I'll put the phone number in the description of this video. So usually when I spot a seal, I do sometimes get closer than you should, but my intent is to check on the welfare of the seal. Number one, make sure it's alive. Number two, make sure it's not injured. And then I back off and take photos, videos. All right, we're back to the Fire Island Visitor Center, and I'm just gonna go out to my truck, grab the whale vertebra, and we'll go back in and meet with the park ranger, and we'll donate it, because on the second floor of this visitor center, they have a little museum. I'm gonna put it back in the bag for them, but look how big this whale vertebra is. All right, back up to the visitor center, and we're just gonna walk in and talk to a ranger. All right, I met with Ranger Kristen and donated the whale bone. She was happy to receive it, and this was an amazing trip in the Fire Island backcountry. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching 2 Feet Outdoors.